Are you thinking about buying an older property in Canada? You may be drawn towards the charm or character or the price point at which it is offered at. But before you decide, there are a few key things that you need to take care of. So watch out this video. Hello everyone, my name is Parth Soni. I'm an agent based in Waterloo region. I cater Waterloo region and Toronto area. If you're someone who's looking to purchase a house or selling a house, I would happy to connect with you. You can book a one-on-one call with me. First link in the description. Now there are so many things you need to consider when you are looking for an older or century-old house. For the purpose of this video, I have divided this whole video into sections, so you can skip if you know about it. If you're not, then you can just regularly watch. So the very first we have is the structure and the foundation of the house. Now when looking for an older property, the first thing you need to check is the structural integrity of that house. Older house might have foundation issue which could be very costly at the end. Now there could be a few visual signs when you're looking for an older property. So what I usually do with all of my clients is when we are looking for an older property, we go down to the basement and check for the walls. If there are more cracks in the walls, if the wall cracks does have, just insert the coin. If you're able to insert the coin in the wall, then it's not good. If you're seeing a hairline crack or something, then that's okay, but do check with a professional so you will be able to get a proper idea whether that cracks are minor or some structural integrity associated with it. The other things to look in the older houses are the uneven floors. Most of the time when you see one of the house or one of the side of the house is like lean towards the other side, so do check for those kind of signs. Your realtor, your inspector could be able to help you out with this. And this is something I always do when I'm looking for an older houses is like how well the door closes. So check out all the doors. If the doors are misaligned or not properly closing down, it might showing that the house is sagging from one side and it's not good structure. It is very crucial to have a professional home inspection done if you're going for older houses before forming up on a contract. The other thing to consider in an older houses in terms of foundation is the addition to the unit. Most of the houses I tour, which are like 60, 70 or 80-year older houses, they do have some sort of an addition to the house, and most of the time it's on the back portion of the house. I would say 90% of the time it's on the back portion, but do also check out the side portion as well if they have any additions done to it. It is very easy to find and your realtor can help you out with this one, whether the addition is done or not. Alternatively, you can also check out the city registry to check that out, and most of the time it's very prominent and very easily visible. And here's a quick tip. The way I look at the older houses in terms of addition is like most of the time the original structure of the house would be a brick house, and the addition will be something which is not brick. That could be like a drywall or a wooden panel or something like that. So make sure if you see any difference in the addition unit, you can able to figure out whether it's an addition or the part of the house. The second thing to look in the older houses is the electrical and plumbing. Now for electrical, it's very common you can find old tube and knob or also aluminum wiring for older houses. If you're going anywhere between, let's say your house is roughly about 1970s to 1980s, then it might be highly likely that you might have aluminum wire in your house. So do check with your realtor, do check professionally with your inspector to get more details about it. And if you're looking for a much older houses like 1920s, 1930s, or even a century or old house, you might have tube and knob, and there is nothing wrong with all this kind of system. The only issue is the fire hazard and the insurance. Like there are many houses which does have aluminum wiring that do sell, but you need to be aware that it does have aluminum wiring, and do check with the listing agent whether it does have it or not. So very quickly, there are three kind of system in electrical. The very first one, which is the older one, is tube and knob. The second one you can find is the fuse boxes, and the third one which you should look for is the CV, that is a circuit breaker. So most of the newer houses, newer technology come with a circuit breaker which is very safe compared to the other. And there are two kinds of wiring which runs through the house. One is copper and one is aluminum. Most of the century-year-old houses does have copper wire in it. But if you have a house between like 1960s to 1980s, you might have aluminum in it, so do check it out. And of course, all the newer houses does come with a copper, so you don't need to worry about it. And same thing goes with the plumbing. Do check what kind of pipes you have in your house. Most of the time, old galvanized pipes do have problem with leaks and water pressure issues with that. Majority of the time, older houses do have a lead pipe, so which is not good, which is unsafe. So do check with your realtor and inspector about it. The next thing you need to check, which is very visual, is insulation and windows. Now, if you are checking for a windows, it's very visual, but in terms of insulation, you might not be able to see what is behind the drum. Now, older homes are not built with the today's energy efficient standards. Many homes built before 1970s might have very less insulation or no insulation. Poor insulation means higher energy cost and higher bills. Check for single pane windows. If you're looking for older houses, it's highly likely if the windows are not updated, it's highly likely they do have a single pane window, which could lead to like energy loss and higher bill. I would highly recommend to upgrade it to double or triple pane windows, and there are lots of grants are available from the city and from the government. Do check it. There is one specific grant which is called Canada Greener Home Grant. So do check out online website. There are so many scams going around it. So make sure you go through the official sources only. Now, the fourth one is the roofs. Now, this is not specific to the older houses, but whatever or whichever clients I work with and they want to put an offer in it, I do specifically ask for the roof age because it does matter a lot. Because roof is a single item in the house which will be very costly to replace it or redo it. So do check the age of the roof as well. Most of the time over here we see the kind of shingles used over here is like asphalt. So asphalt usually lasts between 15 to 20 years depending on what kind of installation and workmanship. So do check the age of the roof as well. There is one more thing which I do with all of my client is let's say if you are looking for a two-story house, then go on the top story of the house and do check out the ceiling of the house. If you see any water stains or yellow mark, it might be a sign there might be a leak in your roof which is coming to the ceiling. And while you are checking this, also check that if you are on a main level of the house and if you have a washroom on the upstairs level, so do go downstairs and check out if there are any stains from the washroom coming into your house or not. The fifth point to note in the older houses is the use of the material. Basically, they used to have asbestos and UFI as a construction material. It is not used in today's standards, so do check with your realtor if they know anything about it. Now, asbestos was very common before 1980s, so if your house is before 1980s, it might have it, but it's not that like it will be easily available or it will easily you can identify it. It has to be lab tested. Both materials are hazardous and remediation can be expensive in this case. The last thing is the heritage designation. Many times a first-time home buyer or a new consumer might not be aware about this kind of stuff, but your realtor can help out, check out the zoning whether it is falling under heritage zone or not. And it is important to know because if the house you are buying, it's an older house, and if it does fall under heritage zone, there are some sort of an implications happens to the house in terms of like you may not be able to change any sort of an exterior, or there are some sort of a limitation when it comes to renovation and changing the look of the house. And if you are someone who in the future planning to change the zoning of the house, it will be very difficult and next to none that you will be able to change the zoning of that house. Let's say you might be able to convert that into a duplex. Now it may be possible, but it will be very difficult if it falls under the heritage zone. So when it comes to older houses, there are a lot to love, but a lot of things to consider as well. My job is to make you informed before doing this kind of purchase. Make sure you are informed before any big decision, and working with a professional real estate agent will definitely able to help you out and navigate the whole process with confidence. If you have any questions or need any guidance, feel free to reach out to me. Thanks for watching and don't forget to like and subscribe, and I will see you next time.